Hello to everybody watching today, and a very warm welcome to the PeopleSmart channel brought to you by organizational and people development consultancy PeopleSmart. Now, PeopleSmart is based in Durban, South Africa, and is a very proudly South African entity run by a group of very powerful, very young, very dynamic individuals. So it's wonderful to have you with us. I'm here with the business's co-owner and managing director, Tegan Deva. It's wonderful to be with you today, Tegan, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the business, what Tegan's all about, what PeopleSmart's all about, and how this business is impacting organizations across South Africa and into the continent as well. Tegan, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Justin. Thank you for having me.
It's great to be recording this with you today. So perhaps you can just jump in and tell us a bit about yourself, a bit about your background, what brought you to this place of running PeopleSmart and having the kind of impact that you're having.
Thank you, Justin, and welcome to everyone who's watching this recording. My background is I'm an industrial psychologist, and when we encounter leaders in our work, we often find that they're not necessarily struggling with the technical aspect of their job. That's what got them there. And it's often navigating people and connecting with people and engaging with people that people seem to be struggling with. And organizations may, but they do not necessarily teach those skills. And that's what PeopleSmart is about and what we're passionate about. It's how do we help people and enable them and capacitate them with those skills so that they can inspire, enable, and grow, whether that is through coaching, whether it's through leadership development, whether it's through wellness, safety, community engagement, collaboration, allowing people to gain confidence with those skills, and then to be able to use those skills so they can experience the power of people.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting because I think in 2024, there's so much flux, there's so much change going on around the world where people are struggling with kind of their place in the world, how they connect with one another. We're so online all the time. What are you finding in your work are kind of the top challenges for human beings to function at their best?
Great question, Justin. I think connection is a huge thing. We're all searching for it and trying to find connection and belonging in different ways. So that's one of the key things. And I think we see the effects of not having connection and belonging in the workspace. So whether that manifests in a sense of deep loneliness, being invulnerable, wellness. Wellness is a huge thing. I think post-COVID-19 as well, whether it's mental health, addiction, substance use and abuse, even our eating habits, healthy eating, we've seen that play out in organizations. And then, of course, the stigma around that to be able to seek help. I think in the South African context specifically, is one of the biggest barriers to getting help. And so how do we help organizations create psychologically safe spaces where people can seek support and then can thrive in their organization?
And so we talk around this idea of the triple bottom line: people, profit, and planet, right? So how have you noticed in the work that PeopleSmart does, have you noticed that these three things have kind of got closer together over the years? I mean, it seems to have been so distinct before. We dealt with people, and in a pockets, and then we had to be profitable, and then as an afterthought we would think about sustainability and the climate crisis and all of that stuff. How are you noticing those things coalescing now, and how do we deal with that in organizations to be more effective?
Take it at an individual level that we can pretend that we can break that all up. That I have a work self and I have community service self and a personal self, and these are my worlds and I operate in them. We bring our whole selves to everything. So when I'm in a context where there are huge climate challenges and there are huge challenges individually with my mental health or supporting others, that's going to impact my work, whether I like it or not. And when I'm worried about work and what's going on, we see it with people who have been retrenched. You have such a huge identity to work. And so it really does impact them in other areas as well, their personal lives, their family lives. And so I think it's the same. It's this, we are learning, how do we navigate this interaction between planet, profit, and people, and to no longer talk about it in individual siloed ways, to talk about it as I bring my whole self, and this I'm embedded within a broader context, and this is impacting my workspace and it's impacting my environment. And so we have to be thinking about it in those ways. And I think organizations are starting to see it in that way. But I think there's a lot to do structurally and behaviorally within organizations so that we can act out the correct behaviors in those ways.
So perhaps we can just turn our attention to the business itself, to PeopleSmart, and perhaps you can just give us a little bit of a background into the business and some of the focus areas that PeopleSmart has in terms of sort of key competencies and products and what PeopleSmart brings to the market.
So I think the one big area is around safety and wellness, because I think this is an area that many organizations are struggling with. Often we have lots of components of a wellness program, of a safety program, which are critical. It's important, for example, to have an EAP service in place. It's important that you have an anonymous hotline, for example. But we often find that those services are left to maybe one department or key stakeholders with your safety reps or your occupational medical practitioners. And there's no integration of it. And in the legislation in our country, we talk about it as occupational health and safety. But in translation, it's not done in this integrated way. And how can we create holistic systems to support employees? And how do we help employees to be talking about promotion, health promotion, wellness promotion, and prevention so that they can take ownership for their health? And so, yes, when someone uses an EAP line, it's often at a last resort when I'm in desperate need to seek help. But how do we help that individual beforehand as well? And so we do a lot of work in that space where we create preventative and promotative workspaces, healthy workspaces, where we help employees take ownership of their health through information and education, through ensuring that we capacitate local champions and they drive that message within an organization, so that we are creating healthy workspaces that are promotative. And then employees can then take that out into their communities, and you're creating healthy environments. So I think it's seeing it in that way. Do a lot of work in the safety space, capacitating safety leaders to how do we engage with our teams to ensure safe behaviors are carried out. And of course, we know that mistakes happen, and that's human behavior, human error, it happens. But how do we protect people so that it's not serious? Nobody's dying, no one's losing a limb, there's nothing serious that comes out of it. And our systems, as well as our behaviors, protect that. How do we create safe learning environments as well? We are getting a lot of things right. Organizations, high-risk organizations are doing a lot of things right day to day. When we get it wrong, it's often because we haven't taken the time to understand what was causing that, or we didn't listen to it. So we knew that was an issue and we left it for a very long period of time and didn't deal with it. And then something happened. So I think creating a learning space within a safety environment is very critical. We also do a lot of work in leadership development, team development. How do we create safe spaces for teams to learn, to harness their diversity, to engage with one another, connect with one another? How do we help people give each other feedback and ensure that we are doing it in a way that is caring and can build one another, and creating safe spaces? There's a lot of fear. We encounter a lot of teams where people just haven't been talking to one another. They don't know their team members. How do we help them have those tough conversations? And then, of course, we do a lot of work with our stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders. Often organizations are embedded within broader communities. So how do we help them engage and partner? I think we can often get it wrong where, organizations can swoop in and say, right, I'm here to save the day. What can I fix? Paint a school, or give money to something. But what does real partnership mean? How do I understand my stakeholders? How do I co-create community engagement strategies with my stakeholders, with community members, and giving space to understand what those needs are and then supporting that. So because people have their own gifts to bring into the world, and if we can harness that talent, it becomes a win-win as opposed to organizations just giving and communities expecting that. And I think we have to change that narrative.
Thank you so much for this time together. Viewers who are out there watching this can get more information on PeopleSmart on the website, which is www.peoplesmart.global, and see a lot more about what's going on at PeopleSmart. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Justin.